First, we set developer extras, tick off that, and then tick off geometry node legacy. I'm using Blender 3. Scale in the X direction, widen out the top, narrow the bottom to make a general stone shape for an archway. Move it off to the X direction. I'll select the front face and give it a red material. Click Assign. Now I create a circle in the object mode. "16 vertices, and a wider radius, and rotate around the x-axis 90 degrees. In the edit mode, I'll remove the lower vertices. Now I'll set up a geometry nodes tree. Select the circle object, geometry nodes editor, select new, add a point instance, the object is the cube, which is my stone. I notice the red face isn't showing. I do a point scale, try some scaling. Now align the rotation, be in the Z direction. There's the red. Red is facing downwards. I made a mistake by not removing the rotation and scale. That fixes it. They are all facing downwards in the Z direction to face inwards to the center. So I change vector to an attribute, and position is the attribute. I can scale now. I have roughly the shape I want. I turn it into a more stone-like shape with a bevel, 2 segments, and adjust the amount. I don't bother doing smoothing. Now here's something interesting. I show the origins in the options, and note how the stones point towards the origin of the archway. So I can change that if I want. But I want the stones to be up and down. So I leave the origin right in the middle. Now I want to create the mortar between the stones. And here's a quick way of doing it. I create an upright cube shape, but then scale it to fit inside the stone. Scale it in the Y direction. Move it upwards. It's now entirely inside the stone archway. It's now small enough to be inside the stone archway. I select the cube and duplicate it. I select the top faces and do a bridge between the faces. Bridge edge. Arch shape. Separated so it's a separate object. Now I can move it upwards into the stone. In the edit mode, I can do a shrink, fatten to get the mortar entirely into the stone archway. Let's change the materials. The mortar should be a dark gray. Control L and link the materials to make the uprights a dark gray as well. Now the stone has a red face. I want to eliminate that. It's just a light gray now. Now to make some stones vertically, I start with a cube. Control L and link, do a copy modifiers. That bevels the cube. And do a scaling to make it look more like the original stone. Scale in the Y direction. Shift D and Shift R. Now select all the upright stones and duplicate them. Shift to the right along the x-axis. And now here's a second example where I beveled one of the edges. That gives an interesting look to the archway.